ESPN just came out with their power rankings for the top 100 NBA players, so I figured it's as good a time as any to give you guys my countdown. Top 100 players.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, top 50.
Hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
All right, top 25.
I'll allow it.
All right, so here's my top 25 NBA players going into the 2023-2024 season. We're going to kick things off at 25, going out to Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns. The beginning of last year when we were making this list, Towns would have found himself probably in the top 15. And really this past year was just a weird year for Cat. Not just that he had to deal with injuries. He missed about 4 months of the season, but also because there was this shift that just seemed to happen in Minnesota from Cat being the centerpiece that they were building around, shifting to Anthony Edwards. I think it comes down to finding his place. How is he going to fit into this new system that runs through Anthony Edwards with Gobert there? Is the chemistry going to work? But if things just aren't working out, I wouldn't be surprised to hear Cat's name in some trade talk. All right, at number 24 is a player between my rankings and ESPN rankings. There's actually a pretty big gap. 24, I got James Harden. Now, ESPN has James Harden ranked at 43. I don't think he's dropped off that much. He's not Houston James Harden, where he was putting up historic offensive numbers. He's still one of the best scorers in the league. Last we saw him playing was in the Eastern Conference semifinals. In game 1, he dropped 45 points. In game 4 of that series, he had a game which he went for 42, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals. The dude could still score at elite levels. He also led the league this year in assists. Biggest question with James Harden, where is he going to play? Made it clear he doesn't want to play for Philly anymore. He said himself, the relationship is beyond repair. It's just a mess. 23 is another player that ESPN had, I feel, pretty low, and I've ranked him higher than they did, and that is Kyrie Irving. ESPN has Kyrie at 34. I have him at 23. As far as on-court performance, Kyrie is without a doubt still one of the premier best playmakers in the NBA, one of the elite scorers. Average this year, 27 points per game, 6 rebounds, all-star starter for the East. There without a doubt has been a lot of off-court issues with Kyrie. Those off-the-court issues are now coming into suspensions. Past year being suspended by the Brooklyn Nets. He's of course now in Dallas, where he's got to figure out the chemistry with him and Luka. We saw a small sample of that last season. Didn't make the playoffs. They've got better pieces, and that chemistry should build a little better going into this year. 22, I've got Miami's Bam Adebayo. Bam is one of the most versatile players in the league. He's a big man that can stretch the floor, shoot the 3 outside, but also take the big man off the dribble, but at the same time go into the post. He's also one of the most versatile defenders, can defend the post, and even in pick and roll situations when he needs to switch off to guards, can hold his own out in the perimeter. He's of course been one of the most important pillars in Miami's success in the past years with their finals runs. See that continuing into next year. 21, we got the Celtics' Jaylen Brown. Brown is coming off of the best year of his NBA career, 26.6 points per game, second year as an all-star. Seems like he's really found his place alongside Jason Tatum, where he can also be an elite scorer, an elite player to Tatum's elite scoring as well. Right, now at 20, I've got the LA Clippers' Paul George. George was actually having a pretty good year last year, was selected for the All-Star game, was leading the Clippers into a playoff push. And then, of course, as it goes with the Clippers organization, George was hurt in March, sprained his knee, and that was basically the end of his season. Question going into this season is, can he stay healthy? Can him and Kawhi actually be on the floor for the Clippers to make a serious run? All right, at 19 is somebody that I'm not as high on him yet as some other people are, the Timberwolves' Anthony Edwards. Edwards did have the best year of his young NBA career, 24.6 points, made it to the All-Star game, then went on to play for Team USA this summer, and is making these strides to get to the next level as far as player development. Maybe the reason why I have him a little lower is that I want to see that transfer to his team success. He's got Karl Anthony Towns, he's got Gobert there, he's only 22 years old, so can't put too much on him, but still, if he wants to step up as the leader of the team, I think it's going to come more on the leadership side and making his team better than just he gets better individually, but really his team staying at the same place. All right, at 18, I've got coming from Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox. Fox really had this breakout year. What was impressive is that not only did he bring his game up a level, but he brought Sacramento as a team up a level, obviously ending their 16-year playoff drought. Fox averaged 25 points a game, 6 assists, a little over 4 rebounds, made it to his first All-Star game. I actually think going into this season, he's going to continue to build on that. I think he's going to have even better year this year than he did last. All right, at 17 is a player that is a bit of a mystery. When he's healthy and at his best, he is a top 10, maybe bordering on top 5 player. Other times, he literally can't stay on the floor. 17 is LA Clippers' Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, for me, is a tough one to rank just because when the man is healthy, we've seen what he can do, led 2 organizations to championships. So when he's healthy and playing his game, he's without a doubt one of the best players in the entire world. Kawhi's issue has obviously been health. He only played in 2 playoff games last year, averaged 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Reports are he's coming in this year healthy. If he can stay healthy, I think he jumps back up into the top 10 of this list. All right, at 16, I've got the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray. Murray is someone that I actually wanted to put higher on this list. The guys in front of him are the leaders of their team. While Murray has been that to an extent for Denver, the Nuggets centerpiece of it all is Nikola Jokic. It's hard to put him above these other players that are the main leaders of their teams. 15 is the player that actually has the biggest gap from where I ranked him to where ESPN ranked him. Memphis's Ja Morant. ESPN put Ja ranked at 35. I don't know if there's 34 players in the NBA that are better than Ja. Looking at last year, Ja averaged 26.2 points per game, 8.1 assists, 5.9 rebounds, all-star level player, one of the most explosive, dynamic scorers in the game. He led the Grizzlies to the number 2 seed in the West. Even with all his on-court brilliance, Ja's off-court issues have now become a big enough problem that they are affecting his on-court play. Obviously, 25-game suspension to start the year. Hopefully he gets the right people in his camp and they really sit him down and tell him, look, man, you're jeopardizing your future. But if we're talking just strictly on-court play, Ja has to be in at least the top 15 in the league. 14, we got Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell. In his first year with Cleveland, Mitchell had the best year of his career without a doubt. 28.3 points per game, 4 assists per game, 13 games in which he scored 40 or more points. 13. That also includes his 71-point outing against the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, he's having his individual success. The team was looking pretty good, but of course was upset in the playoffs by the Knicks. So I think for Mitchell, it becomes, can he be the leader, but can he be that leader that takes this young group and maybe gets them to the second round, to the conference finals, maybe a finals run. 13, Miami Heat's Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets, playoff Jimmy. You know you don't get those type of nicknames without doing something in the league. Butler's one of those players where his stats don't necessarily jump out crazy to you. He simply just gets the job done. Probably the best leader in the NBA today as far as getting his guys ready and really just overachievers. The group he took back a couple years ago in the bubble to the team that got first in the East a few years ago to this team this year where no one really expected anything of them, but they just make this charge and they're just this rough and tough group to beat. That's why you see he commands so much respect within the league and why I've got him ranked at 13. All right, at 12, I'll probably get some flack for this one. I got OKC's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA had one of the best seasons in the league last year. 31 points per game, 5.5 assists, 4.6 rebounds. Made it to his first All-Star game, first team All-NBA. SGA really did make that leap to pretty much the elite level of players. All right, for me, keeping him at 12, I think was pretty simple in that the players that are going to come in front of him were players that have taken their teams on playoff runs deep into the playoffs, whether that's into the finals or conference finals. Now, SGA hasn't quite done that yet. He does have a pretty good excuse in that basically his whole career he's been on a team that's been rebuilding. And this past year, his team did make it into the play-in game, and he was really the main reason behind that. But I just want to hold off before I start putting SGA in my top 10. 12, I got him number 12 right now. That will probably be the lowest he'll be for the next years to come. I think he's only going to move up this list. Getting to 11, and I know this is where I'm going to hear it the most. At number 11, I've got the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James.
Boo this man!
I've got LeBron just outside of my top 10, but let me explain why I do not have him in there. Last year, LeBron was averaging 28.9 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 6.8 assists. I mean, the dude's still dominating. Is crazy. Health was an issue last year. He missed, I believe, 27 games. When LeBron's on the court, he still is producing at an elite level. Now, the reason why I have him at 11, at this point of LeBron's career, I think if you were to ask LeBron and he was to be truthful, I don't think he would want to be the one carrying the load for a team the way he still is with the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean being the main go-to guy. Like, he has to score 30 to 40 points a night for the Lakers to win. Now, there are times where he can absolutely still do that, but I think we saw in the playoffs, especially against Denver, LeBron had a couple of pretty good games where he dropped 40, and then I believe it's 2 and 3 where he had about 22 points, 20 points, and they were just getting blown out. What I'm saying is that LeBron is at a point in his career where he's not really there to carry the team on a night to night basis the way he was in Miami, the way he was in both his stints in Cleveland. At this point of his career, I don't even think he wants to do that, which is why they have AD there, who hopefully will step up this year. And I actually think he will, and where LeBron will be able to take a lot less of that scoring load. So LeBron stays at 11 is what I'm saying. If you want to fight about it, fight me in the comments. All right, now we get to the top 10 of my list. Starting at our top 10, the big trade of the summer, we got Milwaukee Bucks, Damian Lillard. Now, Dame, of course, last year was in Portland where they were not a very good team, so I don't think a lot of people paid attention to what Dame was doing. So I don't know if most people noticed. Dame actually averages the most points per game he has in his career, 32.2 points per game, 6.7 assists per game, 4.2 rebounds. He also went for 50 plus 3 times last year, including his 60-point game against the Jazz. Dame is still scoring at an absolutely elite level, which I think is what made the trade such a big deal. Now you're pairing him with Giannis. For me, a player of that caliber and that type of scoring weapon, you got to have him in your top 10. Number 9, the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker. Devin Booker has been one of the elite playmakers in the league for the past few years. He's the main reason we've seen Phoenix rise prominence, their runs to the finals. Phoenix will be one of the more interesting teams to watch this season. They basically flipped their entire roster, and they've added Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Nurkic. They're just going all in for this championship, and we'll see how it works out with the chemistry of those guys. Number 8, we go back to LA. We've got the Lakers' Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is one of the more frustrating players to rank here, because there are times when Anthony Davis looks like he could be a top 3 player in the world. And then there are other times where it looks like he shouldn't even be in the top 30. There was a span of a few weeks last year where it looked like Anthony Davis was without a doubt the best player in the world. He had a game where he went for 55 and 17 against the Wizards. Followed that up a few games later with a 44 and 10 performance against Giannis and the Bucks. The biggest question for AD, can he stay healthy? But it seems like AD's coming in healthy. It seems like he's motivated. He did not like what Denver said over the summer. Hopefully a motivated and healthy Anthony Davis shows up, and when those two things happen, you might have an MVP contender, and that's what Lakers are hoping for. All right, at number 7, Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant. If you know anything about basketball, you know Kevin Durant. He's one of the most elite scorers in NBA history. NBA MVP, NBA champion, Finals MVP. The guy really has done it all, and at one time he was considered number 1 on this list. Just like with Booker, it really comes down to how their chemistry is going to mesh out in Phoenix. But with the talent they got, if they can get that chemistry right, they can be building a championship team out there in Phoenix. At number 6, we got Golden State's Stephen Curry, greatest shooter of all time, 29.4 points per game, over 6 assists a game, and over 6 rebounds a game. Still playing at an elite level. We saw him drop 50 in that Game 7 win against Sacramento in the playoffs. At this point of his career, it's really coming down to winning championships. The Golden State's addition of Chris Paul over the summer, that makes for actually an interesting mix there. Might see Curry play a lot more off ball. We haven't really seen that drop off yet in Curry's play that we may have seen with some of his teammates in Golden State. So I think you got to keep Curry in the top 10 most definitely. Now we get into the top 5, and at number 5 I've got the reigning MVP, reigning scoring title champion, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid arguably had the best season last year of any player. 33.1 points per game, over 10 rebounds, over 4 assists. I think we all know Joel's one of the best players in the league. Can he get past that hump in the Eastern Conference? They have a great season. They'll have the number 1, number 2 seed, but it comes to the playoffs and they just can't get the job done. So for Embiid, even though, you know, with the numbers and the regular season MVP awards, I think for him to move up on this list and get to where our number 1 and number 2 players are, he's really going to have to break that barrier and get into the finals and maybe win a finals to get to the top of the mountain. Number 4, we've got Dallas's Luka Doncic. Last year averaged over 32 points per game, over 8 rebounds per game, 8 assists per game. Guy is an offensive monster. He's one of the most elite offensive players in the league right now. We've seen him in the past lead teams to the conference finals. Now, of course, he's got Kyrie Irving on the team, and they're going to have to figure out that chemistry and dynamic to see how it works so they can make a push in the Western Conference. They can figure out that chemistry and get into a conference finals, even to a finals. Luka can make a run at that number 1 spot. All right, we move on to number 3, and this is actually my preseason pick for the MVP. That is Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum. For the past couple of years, we've watched Tatum become one of the best players in the league. Last year, averaged over 30 points per game, over 8 rebounds per game, over 4 assists per game. It's not just getting those numbers, but actually leading his team into deep runs into the playoffs. This year seems like he has the most talent around him with the addition of Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. So this will definitely be his best shot at winning a title, at least up to date. If he can get that done, I think he can definitely be moving up this list. All right, we're down to the top 2, and I think everybody knows who those names are. It's just which order are we putting them? ESPN had Jokic at 2, Giannis at 1. I've seen a couple different lists, and they've had them flip-flopped, but all of them seem to have these top 2 names at the top 2 spots. For my list, number 2, Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. 2-time MVP, NBA champion. Last year averaged 30, 10, and 5. Look, you know what you're getting with Giannis. You know what he's going to do. You can't stop it. It doesn't matter. Giannis had a great year last year, leading the Bucks to the number 1 seed, getting hurt in the playoffs. Obviously, that's a huge blow when your main player is out. The Bucks went on to lose to the Miami Heat, but if Giannis was healthy, that might have been a different story. Going into this year, Giannis has a brand new running mate. Him and Dame are looking like the new power couple of the NBA.
What?
Still got Middleton there, still got Lopez. Look, this is a team that's built for another championship run. If they can all stay healthy, I would expect that they might be lifting the trophy at the end of the season. All right, so that brings us to the number 1 spot. The guy who is currently sitting at the top of the mountain, holding his NBA championship trophy in one hand, finals MVP trophy in the other hand, and his horse sitting right next to him. I don't know, something like that. At number 1, Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. 2-time regular season MVP, NBA champion, finals MVP. This past postseason of his championship run, Jokic had 10 playoff triple-doubles. 10 playoff triple-doubles in one postseason. That's not spread out of all of them. One postseason run, 10 playoff triple-doubles. First player to do that. With what he did running through the Western Conference, sweeping the Lakers, beating the Suns, going into the finals, beating the Heat in such dominant fashion. Nobody could stop him, putting up historic numbers and triple doubles. I think right now you got to put Jokic at the top. He's the reigning champion. You got to have him at number 1 right now. That was my top 25. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Disagree? Is it trash? Let me know everything in the comments. I'll fight you there if I need to. Thanks for joining. Let's catch you on the next one. Peace.